Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our VIP feature guest is an experienced marketing executive and entrepreneur with an extensive background in data-driven marketing, digital marketing, and communications for Fortune 500 companies. She is a founder of a marketing consultant firm. She is a certified executive business coach. She has multiple degrees, and we're going to let her share all of that information with you. She currently resides in Des Moines, Iowa with her family. Silhouettes. Let's welcome Laura Nguyen to the show. Hello, Laura. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much, Amber. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm better connecting with you because as I look through all about Laura, I'm like, all right, okay, this is good timing. Ready to have her on. So I am so excited that you are here with us to share your expertise and insights, but to really focus on your Silhouette of Success journey. So thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, milady, standard operating procedure really for the formatting of the podcast here is really to allow the guest to kick it off. You are the Silhouette, you are the VIP featured guest, so the audience loves to hear a little bit about your background. We'll dive into deeper detail here in a minute, but why don't you kick off the show and talk to them about your background?
Sounds great. Yeah. So where do we start? Let's see. Probably like most of your listeners, I've kind of checked the box of a high achiever, I think my entire life, starting from grade school through high school and then, college. Have always been focused on making sure that, I'm doing the right thing, getting the good grades, being highly involved. And so when I graduated from school, I decided that I would go into a marketing communications firm. And that was really my first gig out of school. And there, I found myself working 60, 70 hours a week. And, I loved what I was doing. And so it didn't feel like work. But at the end of the day, I think a couple things. One was that I had such wonderful opportunities and such great mentors. I think I was promoted like 6 times in 3 years in that role. So it was that achiever in me was very thrilled. And I took, I think, a lot of habits and my own internal strive for more and feeling like I was continuing to achieve and in the sense of wanting to be enough in every role that I had lived in thereafter. And so fast forward in time, and, I spent 18 years leading performance marketing teams and just really driving lead generation and growth for businesses everywhere I went. And it really thrilled me. It gave me that dopamine hit of feeling like I was a part of something and I was delivering value. But I found myself getting burnt out in my last stint. And in that burnout, I think my body was giving me all of these symptoms. I had chronic migraines. I was not moving. I would look at my Fitbit watch and realize that I had moved maybe 600 steps a day. I was just sitting in back-to-back calls all day. And I really wasn't taking care of myself, my family, and I wasn't present. I was taking calls in the middle of the night in numerous organizations I had been in. And so what ended up happening for me was I decided that I would take a step away from the workforce and I took a career break.
Well, so listening to you, Laura, as I was taking these notes, it might segue into one of the next questions. And you talked about your structural career break, how you structured it. That goes into one of the initial questions that we always ask, and the alarm clock goes off, and your work or business day begins. What does a day in the life look like for you? Are you structured with routine, or are you more spontaneous now that you've experienced that epiphany? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I would say I lean toward highly structured. When I think about my day, I don't know if you've heard of Michael Hyatt's Full Focus Planner, but I use the Full Focus Planner and it really helps me identify a couple things. One is like, what are the three, big wins or tasks that I need to accomplish in that day so that I'm highly prioritizing those as a part of my structure. And then I have always lived in essentially kind of these 30-minute increments. I've, lived by my Outlook calendar essentially, or my Google Calendar. And in the planner, it actually allows you to kind of time block how you want to structure your day. And so I typically go through in the morning, I will kind of time block out how I'm going to structure my day and what I'm going to focus and work on during that day. And then, I'll start my day, I'll drop my daughter off at school. I'll come back, do a 10-minute meditation to just kind of ground me and settle me into how I'm going to really prioritize what I'm going to focus on. And then I open my planner, I go through it. Typically it is a day full of meetings and then also opportunities where I block out work time, like actually deep thought work time. And then at the end of the day, I always like to do a wind down. So basically, I want to reflect on what did I accomplish that day? And then also, what's a daily win that I want to kind of remind myself? I think a lot of the times we all move on to the next thing. And so kind of creating a practice of a daily win / a gratitude practice has been really powerful and impactful for me.
Okay, well, lady, you are just throwing best practices our way. I'm writing as fast as I can. I've got to flip notes here. This is fantastic. Are you naturally disciplined to stay in your focus planner and in your specifically the time blocking? Are you a naturally disciplined individual, or did that take maybe some habit adjusting?
I think I was programmed early
Yeah.
to be pretty disciplined in that way and having that structure. So I think a couple of things, which is typically either on a Friday or a Sunday, I will block out my schedule for that next week. And I'll work with my VA actually to help me do that. So that way I can say, okay, here are the things that are coming up. These are the, let's say these are the calls I need to prep for. Let's block that. I need to work on these areas or these projects. So let's block that. And that is helpful for me as well of making sure I'm prioritizing the right thing. So I like to do it kind of on a weekly cadence so that I'm looking at the week ahead. But then also on a daily perspective, there might be times, Amber, where I go, this week, especially with the return to school for us, was I needed time to just settle into myself. And so I said, okay, I'm going to have 2 hours of free time. And that means that I'm going to journal during that time or, take it slow and actually just drink my coffee in the morning. And so I have structured, unstructured time as well.
You structured your free time. Yeah. Well, there's I think growth in that consistency too within those spaces of being able to do that, and it is liberating, even though it's probably time blocked, and that's okay. It allows us more freedom and creativity in that time because you've got free time to just go do whatever you want to do within that block. So oh my goodness. Okay, milady, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Talking through your opportunities of helping share more best practices with the audience here. And then we're going to jump in and share more about your fantastic book and everything else you're doing. Do you get stuck when you are trying to maybe go for a goal or a dream, and if you do you have any best practices that you'd like to share with the audience on how to get through that seeming barrier that's between you and something you're after?
Yeah, I think that's such a powerful question, Amber, because as you think about it, right, like we might create, let's say, a goal annually of what we want to accomplish or a vision for our life that we want to create. And I think a couple things come to mind for me. I was actually just talking to a client about this yesterday because I have all my clients go through kind of these seasons of life exercise where we essentially map out like a 1, 3, 5, and 10 year vision. I said, let's really focus on, your next like 1 to 3 years. And let's build out what are the ingredients of a really good life? What does that look like for you? And then let's turn into a more tactical approach of if those are the ingredients, how are we going to make sure that you're executing on those on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? And then we reevaluate. And so a couple of things that I like to do is I will do a quarterly review with myself. So I schedule, and we're hitting September here, so I actually have it on my calendar for the end of September to do a quarterly review of how I'm achieving and accomplishing the goals that I set forth for myself. And then the biggest question I ask is, does that goal still serve me? Am I still in the same place that I was when I set the goal? And I think it's having the natural, right, creating the structure, but also having the natural curiosity to ask ourselves, is this goal something I still want to achieve? And if yes, then what can I do to make sure that in the next quarter I'm prioritizing it? And if it's no, giving ourselves a permission to let it go. That's something I really had to learn because I've been so achievement oriented and goal oriented my whole life that learning that it's okay to pivot or pause or let go of something is a whole learning and unlearning experience that continues to happen for me.
That's phenomenal. um, does this goal still serve me? It's such a profound question. And then being able to have the courage to release it, to release it, to answer that truthfully for ourselves. And just, sometimes I can just envision myself with almost like my claws into that goal. I hang on to it. How do you help people release it or give yourself permission to release it?
Yeah, I think a couple of things, right, is like going through that process of reflecting on like how do I want to how will this make me feel in the present moment and also in a future moment, And then I think the other element to it is that does it help serve and accomplish a future goal for myself? So that's why that seasons of life exercise is so important because what we do is we're taking a longer look, right, of trying to understand what a 10-year trajectory for us would be. And so when you're thinking about it in that lens, it almost allows you to question, does it serve me today and will it serve me 5 years, 10 years from now? Being okay with that answer, I think, is having that guide of having the vision of what is the life that you want to create in a future you so that you can be kind to your future you really helps settle into I'm okay for letting this go because it actually doesn't help me be the person I want to be today or in the future.
So, two little fun phrases come to mind hearing you say that, and it's the bigger picture and playing the long game. And
Mm-hmm.
so, thank you for that. Ay, ay, ay. 2 pages of notes, so you know. So, thinking through when you are setting goals, when you are doing your reviews, what positive adjustments have you made in your life, and maybe just share one, or your environment to help support that trajectory or your growth, your goals, your dreams? Is there some positive adjustment that you can pinpoint that you've seen yourself make?
Yeah. When I started, I think for a long time, I wasn't really clear on what my core values were. And so I started that exercise actually when I was writing the book of what are my core values and what do I care about? And so when we think about, that piece of it, I think probably some of the most impactful areas for me was getting grounded on those core values. And so I'll share a really recent example for me, actually. I just got back from basically a really short retreat. And, I've been to this place before for a retreat. So it's a process that I have that I know well of the classes I take and the practices I take along the way. But this time, what I really wanted to focus on was the core value of authenticity. And I feel like I have always been at tension between the concept of authenticity and belonging, like feeling like I belong to something without betraying myself. And so, while I was at retreat, and honestly, most of the work since I've come back has really been getting clear on and allowing myself the space to define what authenticity truly means to me and allowing it to shine through in how I communicate and how I show up with people and how I show up for myself and prioritize myself. And so, for example, when I think about that, a couple of things come to mind, which is I've really prioritized ensuring that I spend quality time with myself. Like we're all super busy, and so scheduling solo time, like I did that 2-hour journaling session essentially gave me that freedom and that space to listen to the voice within that I had been really busy, really, the last few months before with projects and client work and kind of book promotion and all of those things that got in the way of hearing my voice again. And so continuing this practice has been really powerful and impactful just to make sure that I am allotting every day, whether it's an hour or 30 minutes, that it's about making sure that I'm checking in with me so that I can be truly authentic in how I show up in the world.
Talk to us about the book, your book. I'm so excited to share this with the audience. Career Break Compass. Share a little bit about the compass. You outline compass framework, the components and things like that that might tease and intrigue our audience, and then who or what influenced you most to write your book?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question. Yeah, the book actually came from my own kind of cathartic process during my career break. To be honest, it actually started with journal entries as I was reflecting on my own personal experience of my break. So when I decided that I would leave my executive role in November of 2022 and take essentially at the time, the plan was to do a 90-day career break where I was wanting to make sure that I could rest and recharge, but really recover from burnout. That was really the key objective. And I would say that I went into it going, and saying to myself, I need to figure out how to get my mojo back and the things that really sparked and excited me. And so I did, as being a type A personality and really working on, making sure that my logical brain could get my arms around not working for the first time ever in my life. I did all of the research, right? I read as many white papers and research papers as possible around burnout recovery, around neuroplasticity, around, really how to change my mind and how to, evoke creativity again. And so I also, in addition to that research, I scheduled interviews with people who I knew had also taken sabbaticals or career breaks as a part of their own professional careers. And I created a plan for myself to put myself through that was really structured around giving myself permission to be in the present over that 90-day period. So I did a month of play, a month of pause, and a month of plan. And so the thought process around that was play is really about ensuring that we can lean into the joy of our lives when we're super busy, when we're going from minute to minute, carpool to carpool. The exhaustion of the day ends up catching up with us, and we really haven't leaned into joy. That, when I talk to people and when people would ask me as well, like, well, what do you do for fun? My answer was often like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, fun? Like, who has time for fun? So it's about infusing fun and joy into that.
That is so relatable. Oh, that is so relatable. I am excited for the audience to connect with you and especially to grab their copy of your book, because this is going to be just when those light bulbs start going off, when we hear things and we think, you know what, this is the time I was waiting for. I'm ready to hear that and embrace that. So now they've got a resource with what you've done to just dive into and devour. Oh, I'm so excited for that. When do you feel your greatest sense of satisfaction?
I think I feel from a satisfaction perspective, I think I'm most satisfied when I can feel like I had an impact on someone's life. I think that is probably at the root of it. I started sharing about my journey of burnout in basically about a year and a half, 2 years ago on LinkedIn, and the stories that I've received from people, and even the people that have been a part of the interview process for the book, is the beauty of hearing people's true stories that they probably haven't told anyone else. Typically, when I get on a call with a lot of folks, they'll say, "This is the first time I've ever talked about my struggles." And being a part of that journey for them to make sure that they don't feel alone in that process is, for me, the most gratifying experience, because I know for myself, I felt really alone in my burnout. And so I think that has been the most filling part of kind of the next stage of my career.
So, talking through what led you to your book and hearing you share more about different things that you're able to help your clients with, would you like to take an opportunity and share with the audience the resources that they might find when they come start researching you here in a minute?
Oh,
What do
yeah,
you
for
offer?
sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
talk
so
to
the
us.
yeah, so Career Break Compass, the whole point of it that I created it was because of the fact that when I was telling people about essentially the program I put myself through as a part of my career break, they were really curious about, what were the tools that I used. And so in each portion of the book is actually broken out into 3 sections. So the first part is really about planning your break. And a career break can mean many different things to many different people. So I want to clarify that piece of it. A career break can happen by choice or by circumstance. And so, I mean, you can make the deliberate action to take a leave of absence from your work, take a medical leave from your work, or resign altogether and intentionally take time there. But also, it could be for people who have experienced a layoff and they have this window of time between their role and their next adventure. And one of the things I talk to clients about in those situations is making the most of your time in a layoff situation helps you rebuild your confidence and gives you more clarity on where you want to go next. So, the whole intention and purpose of the plan phase, part 1 of the book, is to help people get prepared for how they're going to structure their time. And then the second part of the book is really around those 3 Ps that I just shared, which is play, pause, and plan. And that whole, in each of those, in every single chapter, I have essentially what's called free diving exercise. So when you think about free diving, it's the practice, right, of deep sea diving without a tank. And there's a lot of exercises and training, but also a freeing experience as you're going through that. And so I have journal prompts, I have worksheets that you can complete. I've actually built out a complete web application for people that they can come on and fill out all of their own kind of personal worksheets and have calculators for them as well. And I also built an online community for people so that they don't feel alone and they can connect with other high achieving professionals who are also burnt out, as well as other career breakers who are relating to one another and sharing their own stories. And the last section of the book, part 3, is actually reentry. And so reentry is all about making sure that you have the tools to integrate play, pause, and plan into your life post break. So that's about, when we were talking about time blocking and scheduling and creating these check-ins for yourself, I wanted to give people all of the tools to be able to help them. So basically, you've got all the tools in your toolbox when you're thinking about a break and making sure that you're living an intentional life. And so you take the tool out when you need it and take what serves you.
Okay, all of it is brilliant. The time, energy, love, devotion that you put into that, I can't even fathom in this moment. So I am just so giddy that you're sharing this with our audience so we can dive into that. Laura, we're going to take a very quick break to hear from this episode's sponsor. We'll be right back. I personally have been investing with Ashcroft Capital for about 5 years. I know the co-founder, Joe Fairless, pretty darn well. He's my brother, so I can personally vouch for him and how he approaches things. I like investing with Ashcroft because of the monthly cash flow. They buy apartment buildings, improve them, and then sell them. It's a good business to be in, and I'm glad to passively invest with them. You can learn more at ashcroftcapital.com. That's ASHCROFT capital.com. All right, we are back. Laura, we crave great resources. You have shared yours, which again will be on the tippy top of the list because this is all about you. Is there any other resource? Do you have a favorite author? You did mention your full focus planner, so we'll make sure and include that too. Is there anything else you'd want to share with the audience that is a favorite and what makes it a favorite?
Let's see, my favorite. Ooh, okay. So definitely my full focus planner. I do love my full focus planner. I would say when I think about people who are pivoting after a break, or pivoting into a new role, one of the most powerful tools that I've used across, every kind of new beginning for me has been Michael Watson's First 90 Days. It's been such a powerful book for me of creating a structured experience for how you effectively start a new job, or you're promoted, or you start a completely new role. And so I find that has been really powerful. And then the other is, which I'm sure probably some other guests have shared as well, I love Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. It is such a powerful practice that I've put into place. She talks about these morning pages, which are basically 3 pages of free form writing. So for people who are like, I don't know how to journal, I don't know how to get started, basically the practice is you open a notebook and you just write 3 pages. And it could be anything. And I have before actually written 3 whole pages of, I have no idea what to write. And that is perfectly fine, right? It's the release of perfection. And so I love Morning Pages by Julia Cameron. So if you can pick up The Artist's Way, it is, I got that book in 2006 and it has dramatically changed my life. And hopefully it can be helpful to your audience.
Outstanding. Okay, we have a plethora of resources. Thank you, my lady. Laura, it has been amazing and awesome and fun visiting with you today. And as we begin to wrap up, time flies, I swear. We need our segments. Keeping the promise with our audience, we like to share intentional inspiration as we kind of wrap things up. Do you have a piece of key go-to advice or a quote or something that resonates with you? We have all these quotes and things on our walls these days. Is there anything you'd want to share with the audience?
Yeah, I think for me, what keeps coming up is prioritizing an intentional pause for an intentional life. I think so often we're just sprinting to the next thing. And sometimes we talk about pausing, but one of the challenges I have of that is let's make sure that we're being intentional about that time, right? So whether it is, your evenings throughout the day, your weekends, or even longer breaks, like I talk about in Career Break Compass, let's make sure that we're being thoughtful and intentional about that time because it can really be the difference between just kind of floating through life, but then, or living a life that is filled with purpose.
Where, my lady, can our audience go to find and connect with you and support you in your continued success? Feel free to share your contact information, your socials. The stage is all yours. Go for it.
I appreciate it. Yes. So your audience can find me at lauranguyen.co. So that's, I'm sure we'll spell it out in the show notes for everyone. You can find me there. My Instagram handle is the same. So lauranguyen.co. I'm there as well. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help in any way, shape, or form that your audience would need. The book comes out, so Career Break Compass comes out on November 12th. So I'm really excited to be able to share that with everyone. You can find it wherever books are sold, but I am doing an exclusive pre-sale event through actually a local women-owned bookstore here in Des Moines, Iowa, called Reading in Public. Her bookstore is beautiful. It's like an homage to New York bookstores, so it's super cute. And we are doing an exclusive pre-sale where anyone who buys the book through Reading in Public will get a signed copy of the book. You'll be entered into a sweepstakes to have 2 free coaching sessions. You'll get all of the bonus materials that I shared, as well as access to the online community. And you'll also get invited first to my retreat that I'll be hosting next year.
Oh, it's like Christmas in August.
Indeed.
Okay,
Indeed.
so we will need that link. Oh my gosh. And your book, the release of your book is in the month of gratitude, which is just so emblematic of what you mentioned earlier. Ah, I love it. Okay, I've got to let you go. I know I'm for the lady that's a time blocker too. So I want to be respectful of that. I don't want to let you go. Laura, it has been sheerly just delightful. It's been a sheer delight to visit with you, to hear all of this good information, best practices, to connect with you as a person. And I'm just so enamored by hearing from you and directly from you about your Silhouette of Success journey, and much love and support to you as you take these next steps over your book release. So it has been a pleasure. Thank you for your time, and you are a genuine light.
Oh, thank you, Amber. No, I really appreciate you. Honored to be able to chat with you, and full of gratitude for the time that we've spent together and your continued support. Please let me know how I can continue to support you too.
Sounds like a plan, milady. All right, until then, thank you for your time.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at thesilhouettesofsuccess.com or connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We're grateful that you've tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success.